Good evening, everyone. I hope you all are doing well this evening. I hope everybody's had a great start to the week. I know it's just slightly cooler here in this Texas weather than it normally is. It's looking a little overcast. I'm going to head inside in a short minute from now. But I just wanted to take a moment just to break down some honest thoughts I had on the subject of dating in this modern age. I was listening to a podcast last week that was actually on that subject, and I just heard some interesting perspectives that I just wanted to tackle just from a man's perspective. But to start off, according to what two individuals were discussing, and this was a pretty prominent podcast, but it was just interesting just hearing their thoughts from some of today's women, including women in the church. But from what women have been sharing, some of them, not all of them, let me clarify that, some women just feel like, frankly, they're caught between a rock and a hard place, so to speak. And the reason they feel caught is because they have a hard time just finding their ideal partner. You know, they're trying to avoid the bad boys and, you know, the men who won't treat them right. But at the same time, they don't want a square. So, in other words, as they describe it, you know, they don't want Future, but they don't exactly want Russell Wilson either. And to clarify that for those of you who don't understand, Russell Wilson and Sierra are presently in a relationship. They enjoy a healthy relationship. They're raising a family, but things weren't always that way. Sierra, who's in the music industry, used to be with another individual in music, a rapper known as Future. And Future, while, you know, he's got all the charisma, he's got all the swagger, he's got the alpha male archetype on lock. While he's got all of those things, and he seems like, you know, the type of man any woman would want to be with or hook up with, he's not exactly the ideal family man. He certainly hasn't been the best father. So Sierra said, you know what, I'm going to head over next door and I'm going to hook up with Russell Wilson. For those of you who may not know Russell, he's about to start a season with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But he's kind of gotten some knocks because although he is that great family guy Sierra needs, he also happens to be a little bit of a cornball. You'll see on social media a lot of people beating up on him, you know, here and there. I know they criticize his dress a lot and other things, but at the end of the day, he is a good man. He was the type of man Sierra needed, so she's staying with him. But I share all of these things to say that, you know, women feel like they have to choose between two different types of men. It's like, okay, you either go for a Future or you go for Russell Wilson. And my argument against that is there are so many different types of men in this world. You know, thank God, and I'm happy, you know, just for you women out there, you have more to choose from than either Russell or Future. There's all different kinds of people. You know, we have Denzel Washingtons, we have Lin-Manuel Mirandas. You know, some of us are really creative, some of us are really charismatic. You got Samuel L. Jacksons, you got Chris Evanses, you got Dave Chappelle's, you've got Eddie Murphy's. You know, we've got men around who can make you laugh. I personally have a good sense of humor. But I'm saying all of this stuff just to say that men are so dynamic. You know, there are so many different types of us. It's really narrow-minded for you to assume that you're trapped between two different archetypes of people. You know, the cool guy or the nerd. There's just so much to us, and there's so much out there. And when I hear some of the things I hear, you know, whether it be on a dating podcast or, you know, any kind of discussion on this subject, specifically when it comes to what I hear from some of our women, it just seems like, you know, you'd really benefit from exercising some patience. You know, I don't think, you know, some of our women have experienced all that there is to experience just in terms of what life has to offer to them. You know, I don't think that they've lived enough life for them to so quickly draw a conclusion just because they haven't gotten the results that they wanted right off the bat. I think with men and women alike, a lot of times we can sort of get sucked into the whole comparison complex. You know, we look at people getting engaged or at least getting into a relationship. We look at people getting married, and we seem to think that we're supposed to be on the same timetable. In reality, life doesn't work that way. I can personally testify to that, being 28 years of age and not honestly having not really been romantically involved with anyone. People have so many different life journeys. There are people who haven't found their person until the age of 44. I know one woman, she DJ'd at an event I went to. She got married at the age of 50, but I'm not sharing this to say that that's going to be your story and that you'll have to wait that long. I'm just saying that this thing that we call, getting to know someone, these days in society, people talk like, you sneeze and some relationship the next moment. And there's nothing easy about it. And a lot of times on social media, you see a lot of people, hooking up. You see like the end results of an engagement, but you don't know whether or not those two individuals stay together. Not everybody is building things in their romantic life that's intended to last. Moreover, not everybody is building things in the relationships that was intended to be built in the first place. Some people should have begun. And share this just to say that, I think for some people, and this is addressed toward men and women, part of the reason you're getting shallow results is because you enter the dating and the process of getting to know someone with a shallow perspective. It's not even always like a geographical thing. It's not even always about necessarily, where you're looking, or the fact that you're looking at all. Sometimes it's just your means about, finding the relationship that you desire. Again, this is where patience comes into play. I just think, people need to learn how to, number one, just how to sit still and understand that stuff doesn't happen overnight. But I think also, number two, I think a lot of people really need to broaden their horizons. I think that the mindset of people is a little too narrow. I mean, if it really is true that there are women out there who just feel like they can only pick between two different people, a Future or a Russell, then I just think that you just really need to take the time to live a little bit more life, maybe focus less on hooking up and just focus more on, maybe building that business you've always sought to build, really finding a way to sustain yourself so you're not clocking into a 9-to-5 day today. Really taking advantage of this summer season. This is a beautiful summer. There's a lot of awesome parties and events going on. It's a great opportunity to get to know someone. And just really exploring different avenues and not being so preoccupied with hooking up, or getting with someone. I just want to say that that's critical. And I've heard some panelists and podcast hosts say that, the problem with men isn't necessarily with waiting on someone. The problem with men can be with the fact that we as men have options. I want to say as a man that's not always true, and it's certainly not true in my case. You're looking at a man who right now does not have options, is not out running the streets, having access to just any kind of girl or any kind of woman I seek to connect with. Like I said earlier, it's not easy. It's really not that easy. People have issues with just like past trauma. A lot of people have a lot of issues in their past that they haven't fully addressed. Just because someone is attracted to you does not mean that they are healthy for you. And I personally haven't encountered a lot of women who, because they really haven't made peace with certain things in their past, they just aren't the type of person, for the man that they would like to be with. And what they end up doing ultimately is they end up projecting their past hurt and some unresolved personal issues on a man who, is in no way connected to those events and also didn't do anything to deserve the poor treatment that she's administering to him. And it works vice versa. I know that because I've heard that just from young ladies I've spoken to at different events. I remember one time I went bowling with a friends group and there was a lady talking about how she could see the same thing from her perspective. She just had a challenge of, dealing with men who just really weren't mentally stable or emotionally healthy, didn't have the emotional intelligence required to properly carry a relationship with a woman, and just individuals who were basically as flammable as gunpowder, just really liable to go off on someone. And it could be the slightest thing. It could be something you say, it could be something they see that reminds them of something in their past. But I just think, for us, especially as blacks, it's okay to seek therapy. We all need help. We all need counseling. A lot of times I can be seen as the strong friend, who's relied upon to take care of and carry and shoulder others' concerns. I've realized that I need counseling and therapy as much as anybody else. So, honestly, we all need help, and we can't be afraid to ask for it. But I just share all of these things to say that, all men aren't the same, all women aren't the same. There are some women who are extremely wise, and they've made the wise decision on focusing on themselves as opposed to trying to create something that wasn't intended for them. For those of us who honor God, you also have to understand and respect his timing in things, and just also understand that there are a lot of doors that he closes unto us for a specific reason. There are a lot of individuals who just really aren't the right person for you, and I can tell you from personal experience, it kind of takes time to see that as well. Now the door could be closed to you like maybe 1 to 2 months into you getting to figure somebody out. But if you're in a position where, like, let's say maybe a half a year to some years down the road, you get to see other dimensions of that person's character that you didn't see right off the bat, then that just becomes further confirmation. There's a reason God shuts certain things off from us in our lives, at least for a certain time. And we just have to remember he's created in us the desires of our hearts and the person we seek to see. But as Hebrews, I believe, chapter 10, verse 37 through 38 says, a lot of times it takes patient endurance for us to see that promise. But our biggest challenge is not losing confidence along the way. So bottom line, people like to celebrate God for the doors that he opens, especially when someone brings, a spouse or a romantic partner in our lives. But as Bishop Jake said this past Sunday, it's not often that we celebrate God for the doors that he closes. And I just think we need to be thankful for that as well, and understand that there's no such thing as rejection. We're only being redirected to the purpose in store for us. And with that purpose is going to come someone who can help us sustain that purpose. I say all the time, it's not about finding a soulmate, as in S-O-U-L mate, so much as it is about finding a soulmate, as in S-O-L-E mate, somebody who's really designed to run with us and fulfill the purpose that God's called for both of us. So I just wanted to share these things with you, and I just really wanted to do this just to address a lot of popular ideas that are out right now floating around when it comes to conversations surrounding the dating pool, because it's really not as simple as people make it out to be. I think people can be narrow-minded. I think they can be misled by what a lot of the talking heads on TikTok like to say. You got women bashing men and vice versa. You got men bashing women, and neither is okay. I have extreme respect for us as human beings, and I think that we're also called to simply to be better. And a lot of times, if you want to, well, all the time, I would say, if you really want to see a quality spouse, it starts with also being a quality person. You have to embody that healthy attitude. That way, you can attract the healthy relationship that you seek. So that bottom line, that was really all I had to share. I'm gonna go ahead and get inside and unload these groceries, but I did want to give you all just a big thanks for your time, and wish y'all an outstanding week. Take care.